Welcome to this module on finding a supplier for your product. Now, most people that are selling on Amazon do go to China to actually source their products, but China is not the only place. You can look at other places like India and Vietnam, some parts of Europe, Turkey, parts of Central America. All these can be great places to source. Even the United States can be a great place to source products. But Alibaba is the main site over in China for finding products, and I'm going to show you a few other ones as well. So a lot of you may have heard of Alibaba. They're a huge company over in China. Not only do they have the site Alibaba.com, they have AliExpress, and they own a whole number of other e-commerce platforms in China. They're just a huge company, and so that's what a lot of people go to. I personally don't really use Alibaba for most of my sourcing. I will use it when I'm checking pricing on stuff, if I'm just doing some back of the paper math and just kind of trying to get an idea of what might something cost or what might be out there. But me personally, I prefer to go to other places because everybody else is going to Alibaba and they're finding the exact same stuff, because that's what all the YouTube videos say, that's what all the other courses say. They say to go to Alibaba, and you may find a great product on there. I have in the past, but I typically try to stay away from it for the most part now. But if you are going to use Alibaba, you just go to Alibaba.com, and you can see here that you can search by suppliers or products. So let's say we're going to do a cornhole game. It looks like I've searched for it before there, so I just hit cornhole game, and you can see here that a number of suppliers have shown up. Now, Alibaba is not just for China. As you can see here, you can actually find there's a supplier in the United States. There's suppliers in India, so you could actually filter this by other countries. Alibaba is not just Chinese; it's primarily Chinese, but it's not just Chinese. You can also put in minimum pricing and maximum pricing. Now, when you scroll down on Alibaba, you're going to see some general pricing, like this one right here. They're saying these are about $41.60 to $48.20 a set. 100 sets is the MOQ, or minimum order. All this is negotiable. These numbers may or may not be anywhere close to your final price. You might actually get this at $30. It might be $50. These are just ballpark estimates. Until you get into negotiations and actually start asking for bids and see the samples and get into your product, you're really going to know what it costs. But you can use this just right here as a ballpark estimate when you're doing some rough math to see if you should continue pursuing this product. You can contact the suppliers here. You see here that he's based in China. This is the name of the company here. So you can see that he's based in China. This is the name of the company here, the actual supplier company. They've been on Alibaba for 4 years. They have some different certifications here. You can see that this one supports what's called trade assurance. Some people don't like, they feel uncomfortable wiring money to a factory in China, so they use what's called trade assurance, which will give you some extra protections if that's what you want to use. I personally don't do it because I think it kind of makes you look like an amateur. But some people, they want to do that just in case there's a problem. You can see this guy's limit's 85,000. You can click the learn more to find out more about them. You can also, so some other icons here, if they're a gold supplier or not, that doesn't really mean a whole lot. They can pay for that. So you can see here that Alibaba can be a good place, and so there's a ton of results here. So I can scroll through these, and if I click on one of them, it's going to show me a lot more details in most cases, sometimes even a video. Here they have some different pricing for and the lead times. You can scroll down. They'll usually have a lot of the specs of the items here, the ability of the supplier, the packaging details. So when you're running your estimates and stuff, you can use some of this information just to ballpark it. And you want to change this once you get the actual final numbers. But this can be a great place to do that. And you may find a supplier on here, but like I said, I prefer not to use Alibaba just because there's so many other people that are using Alibaba and they're finding a lot of the same stuff. Now, if you do go with somebody off of Alibaba, say you do go with this supplier, or you want to make sure they actually have a website in Google, and it's not hosted on Alibaba or something else. So this company's name is Wenzhou. Let's go ahead and click on it here so I can copy and paste it. So if you look here, this is like a little storefront, but it's not. It's on Alibaba. You see in the address up here, it's got Alibaba.com. So this is not their actual website. So I want to make sure they actually have an actual real legitimate website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to copy, if I can copy it, copy this name. I'm going to open a new window, and I'm going to go to Google, or you could use Yahoo, but I prefer to use Google. Go to google.com, and I'm going to type in this company's name right here. You might have to take out the .co and the .limited. I'm just going to type in Wenzhou Arts, just the bare bones of it. And I want to see here they come up several times, but this is not their site. This is at Global Sources. This is Eva Tools. That may be another name for them. These are not their sites. These are like other sites. They have a LinkedIn, so that's a good sign. So these guys probably are legitimate. If they didn't come up here as their own website, like this Eva Toys, looks like that's probably an alternate name for them. Let's click on that and see. Once it comes up here, yeah, sometimes they have an English name, sometimes they have a Chinese name. Yeah, that looks like it's the same company. So that would be just a cursory check just to make sure they're legitimate there. So you can do all kinds of filtering here. You can do it by region. Like I said, you can do it by their previous which countries have they exported to. So maybe you're selling in Germany, so you only want to see who's exported to Germany in the past. That doesn't mean just because they're not listed, they've only shipped to the U.S., that they can't do Germany, but that's a way that you can find out really quickly. There's some filters here for minimum order. There's a whole number of things that you can do here on Alibaba. I would not use the images. If you end up going with something on Alibaba, take your own pictures. Don't use the images that the supplier gives you or that you get off of Alibaba. And make sure, like I've said, and we talk about this in supplier contracts, make sure you actually tell your supplier they're not allowed to use your pictures on Alibaba or any other website without your permission. Now, another really good site to actually source products from, or another way to find suppliers, is Panjiva.com. You see it's Panjiva.com. Now this is a paid company, so you have to pay several $100s a month to get all the data here, but they have something that you can do for free at Panjiva.com, manufacturers-of. Make sure you capitalize the O and the M when you type in the link. And what you can do here is you can actually get some basic information for free. So cornhole game. And let me see what comes up. They're not going to give you everything because they want you to pay money, but sometimes you can find some pretty good little leads here without having to pay the money. You can see here they have 111 results came up. Now what Panjiva does, and there's a couple other companies that do this too, USA Import Data, there's another one, Import Genius, but Panjiva is probably the biggest one. They monitor all the shipments that come into the United States. So everything that comes into the United States by sea goes into this big public U.S. government database. Panjiva buys the rights to that data. They take that data and they put it into this really cool little searchable database, so you can actually see what other people are bringing in. So other people have brought in stuff that they described as a cornhole game, and there's 111 records that match this. And you can see these are some of the companies that have done it. This Ningbo company here has had 241 shipments come in that have the word cornhole game on them. That's a lot of shipments. If I saw like 2, that means that's a fairly new company, or maybe they're a trading company, or maybe there's some other reason. But 241 shipments of cornhole games, these people are some major supplier of cornhole games. So that could be a way. You can click on this and you can actually get some additional information. Now remember, this is limited here unless you pay Panjiva, but a lot of times you can get some cool stuff for free here. So when I click on this, this is their company. I'm going to go ahead and copy that for just a second. And you can see down here they've had a lot of shipments to the US, to France, to Germany. This company shipped a lot of stuff. And you can see down here, so you can take a look and see actually some of the bills of lading of what they've shipped. So this is not cornhole game. Now see, the data is limited. If you're paying for the service, you could get more. But you might actually be able to see a bill of lading and actually see what they brought in. Like here's a sample bill of lading right here, where it will show you where it was shipped from, who the name of the party, the address, where it was going, what the weight was, the HS code, the classification. All this stuff is really valuable information to have and it's the U.S. government has it. And the way to get it is to use one of these paid services that provides it. But I could take this particular thing right here, and I could go up here to Google and see if they have a website. And because they've had 241 shipments of cornhole games, these might be somebody that I might want to go contact. And you see here they're on Alibaba. They're on a number of sites. But I could come in here like this company profile. Let's see. You might get the contact information, and then you could just contact them directly and see what they have to offer and see if you can get a quote from them. So that's another way to find products. So another one that I like to use is this one right here, 52wmb.com, and you can put EN in front of it for English, and this one will search all these countries here, all these different countries. It's really cool, so you can find stuff from other countries, maybe avoid some of the duties. But let's say I was looking for suppliers of a cornhole game. Type in search. And so this one has found over 45,000 records of people that have the word cornhole game in there. So I could actually scroll through here. This looks like even in the Amazon shipping area station, Amazon ONT8. But you could actually go through here and you can find suppliers here as well. So like if I was looking at this, and maybe I would go to PP Imports. And see, you can register for an account and get free access to some of this data, and they'll actually show you all the shipments that have been coming in, who the trading partners were, and where they're shipping to, the ports that they're bringing in, all kinds of really cool information. So 52WMB in English is another great place where you can find stuff, and like I said, you can find stuff that's in all these other countries too. You can even filter it by country, so maybe you're looking to get something out of Vietnam, or you're looking to get something out of one of these other countries. You can do that as well. So that's another really cool tool that I like to use. Global Sources is another great place to search for products. Global Sources, if you type in corn, they're a little bit smaller than Alibaba, but they actually vet their people a little bit better, and so you actually can find. Typically, I found that Global Sources doesn't have as many results, but the factories are typically a little bit better, just because of the system that they use. So we found all these right here. That Global Sources also has a big show that they do twice a year in Hong Kong. So if you're ever over in Asia or in the Hong Kong area, it's usually in between the phases of the Canton Fair, usually in between phases 2 and 3 of the Canton Fair. That can be, it's a smaller show, but that can be a nice show to go to as well. But you see here, you have some different options. You can click on them and give you a rough idea of the set. They say it's a 3,000 minimum order, but remember, that's all negotiable. You might be able to order 1,000 from these guys, so don't let that scare you away. They'll show you the age of the company, some other information, which ports they're shipping out of, the height and weight, so you can do all your estimates and see if this is something that you want to take a look at further. When you see the payment details, sometimes if you see this TT, that's basically, it's an old version. It's called telegraphic transfer. It's basically a wire transfer. They still use the terminology from decades ago, or sometimes it's T/T. Other times they'll say they take Western Union, or they take bank wires, or they'll take escrow. I do not recommend you do Western Union. Western Union's okay for maybe a sample if you're spending $50 or $100 to get a sample sent to you, but for any larger orders, don't use Western Union. Most of the suppliers won't take a credit card either, so typically you're going to be either using an escrow service or you're going to be wiring them money directly. And I've never had a problem with sending them money. Another if you're ever over in China, twice a year is the Canton Fair, cantonfair.net. This is a humongous show. It goes over 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, with about a 3 or 4 day break in between each one. There's three huge buildings on the Canton that make up and each one is 2 or 3 stories tall, and there's just tens of thousands of booths. So if you're ever over in China during April or October, that's when the Canton Fair happens. It's in Guangzhou, China. You can fly into Guangzhou or Shenzhen or Hong Kong. That whole region is a hot region for manufacturing, and there's a lot of Amazon sellers in that region. But this can be a great place to go. There's also trips that take Amazon sellers from the U.S. and Europe over there and kind of hold your hand. We talked about those in one of the other modules, so you can check those out too. That's a great place to actually source also. Another place that you can get some good ideas is at different trade shows. So this site, tsnn.com, trade show has trade shows throughout the world. And so you can actually come in here and you can actually do some searching and see like the top 250 US trade shows, for example. And you can scroll through here and you can actually see what are the top US shows and get an idea of maybe one of these shows is the type of product you're considering, and you could actually go over to that show and actually visit it in person if you live in the United States, or if it's easy for you to get here if you live outside the United States. But you can see here all these, like this magic show, for example. It's the dates on here were February of 2018 is what they're showing here. And if you click on it, you can actually get some additional magic fashion events. Looks like the next one here, that website was had old information, but the next one, it's still good to click through. February 5th to the 7th of 2022 is the next show, and this is like anybody doing apparel, anything like that. You can get ideas here on which shows that you might want to attend. Another great place to find events is called 10times.com. So you can actually search by industries here. So let's say you're doing supplements. You're doing even narrow down pet supplements. That was a product you're considering doing. So you can type in pet supplements, and then you can see if there's any shows that deal with pet supplements. You can actually see them here. The Food Supplement Forum, it looks like, in Italy, the words pet supplement came up with. Or you could type in, let's just try supplements. So here you can like click on trade shows, conferences. You can find all kinds of interesting stuff that may be worth checking out and maybe worth you going out and visiting, depending on what products you're doing. If you're sourcing in India, IndiaMart is a great one as well, indiamart.com. But you can actually come in here and say you're sourcing some sort of I don't know, sporting goods. I mean, you'd want to probably be more specific. If I can spell. And you can find suppliers of sporting goods, for example, in India. And somebody making goalposts in India, and you're making these kind of goalposts. This is a great place to find alternatives outside of China. It's at indiamart.com. Another good site to go to is this one here, for the US, primarily thomasnet.com is another great website where you can find some great information on US suppliers. Now, if you don't want to do all this yourself, there's a good site called sourcify.com for a fee. These guys will help you find suppliers. You can click on their pricing here, and they want you to fill out a little form, but it's not cheap. It's about $300 a month. But they do go out and you can say, I'm looking for this type of product, and they go out and they help you find suppliers, and they have a database that's pretty good. So if you're looking to outsource some of this or use somebody else, now there are sourcing agents and there's other ways, but Sourcify is a pretty good company. They're based in San Diego, but have offices right outside the Canton Fair and throughout China. Another site you want to go to is supplierblacklist.com. Supplierblacklist.com. If once you find a supplier, just make sure they're not on here. This is kind of like a Better Business Bureau of suppliers, so people report problems here, and so it's worth actually taking a check and seeing, and on the flip side, if you ever have a problem with a supplier, you can report them here too.